Hello everyone, welcome to Mugello. It is the first round of the Ferrari Challenge for 2018. And we're here at this Tuscan circuit which saw the close of the 2017 season and sees the opening of 2018. On track, very shortly, the Coppa Shell first race of the season. The Coppa Shell drivers, all 21 of them, mixed into Shell and AM categories, are on their way to the grid. This is our calendar for the year. Silverstone after Mugello, then it's Spa-Francorchamps, Misano under the floodlights, Brno in the Czech Republic, Barcelona, Circuit de Catalunya, and then the grand glittering finale mondiale at Monza between the 1st and 4th of November. So the Mugello circuit then, here with the famed crash helmet as you drive into the circuit, which is about 40 minutes, 45 minutes perhaps from the city of Florence. And there you can see where we are situated. And there's some support for Per Nielsen, Christian Overgaard, a number of other drivers as well. 5.245 kilometer circuit, 14 turns. 6 of them left, 8 of them right. It's quite a technical circuit where overtaking is difficult and lots of sweeping and several elevation changes as well. Air temperature 13 degrees, which is not as warm as we would expect it to be here in Tuscany at this time of the year. As we look at our pole sitter, one Mr. Eric Prinot, hugely experienced in Ferrari Challenge and knows the circuit inside out and has really got to grips with the 488 Challenge car in qualifying. And his 152.190 puts him on pole position, being offered congratulations there by official Ferrari GT driver Davide Rigon. Good to see Davide here this weekend. Not the only Ferrari celebrity, more to come on that in just a few moments from now. The Hublot safety car then, driven by former Ferrari Challenge champion Beppe Scanetti, will be leading the cars away on their rolling lap ahead of a 30-minute race to come from the Coppa Shell drivers. Some supporters here enjoying the sunshine, if not the temperatures. As a new driver in for this season, Agata Smolka, another lady racer, makes her way to the grid. And we are on board with her and looking back from another onboard camera, that of the Kessel racing driver von Skeltermar. So, the Mugello circuit welcomes you. Races.ferrari.com is the website for you to check out all the information as we look at the 198 car of Eric Chung. 10 wins in the Ferrari Challenge. Will he bank another one today?
Today I want to introduce you a very special and important person to me. I know this person since 33 years and we are nearly always together. This person is driving actually quite well, of course not as good as me, but maybe this year she's growing a little bit more.
Today I want to introduce you a very special person. She's convinced that she will drive faster this year, but I will do my best.
My sister. Last year was a very special year for me. I had a great season and my driving was improving all the time, and we had great races. But I was not completely happy, and I was missing one thing. There was something missing. And I'm so happy to announce that Corinna, my sister, is coming back this year together with me.
Last year it was very special year for me because on September I had my third son, Matthias. But this year I am back on the championship and I will enjoy every day. Now we are back together again. Mwah! Enjoy Ferrari Challenge with us, the Gaustner sisters.
Back together again. A great song by Frankie Beverly and Mays. There you go. I'm showing my age now, aren't I? The Gaustner sisters, Manuela, and welcome back, Corinna. It's great to have you back on track, and congratulations on the addition to your family. There is Manuela Gaustner then, who did have a great season last year. And the Ineco MP racing driver will, of course, be hoping to improve on what was a good season last year with an even better one this year. And, of course, the family of the Gaustners, not only Corinna and Manuela, but Thomas Gaustner is also out on track as well. And David Gaustner, son, is also a racer. So the grid is set then for this Coppa Shell race, which we've split the Coppa Shell drivers into Shell drivers and AM drivers as well. And it's a big grid of cars, some 21 of them ready to do battle here on this Mugello circuit. 30 minutes of race action to come. Vladimir Hladek to your left there, Eric Chung to your right-hand side. Then we see the 177 car, the familiar Shark's Teeth of von Skeltermar. To the left-hand side, to his outside, is Tommy Lindroth in car number 127. And then we see Corinna Gaustner, who makes her return and goes from P12 on the grid. So Manuela exactly 6 places ahead of her. Last race contested at Daytona 2016. What a weekend that was in Daytona. The finale Mondiale in Daytona was something very special indeed. So race is about to get underway. So Coppa Shell Race 1 is about to get underway. Alongside me is the Ferrari Driver Academy driver, Callum Eilert, who I will introduce in a moment. Let's do the grid first of all. Eric Prenot, Jean-Claude Sarda, Christian Kinch, Thomas Gaustner, Christoph Herney and Manuela Gaustner occupying the first 3 rows of the starting grid for race number 1 in Coppa Shell. Then we find Vladimir Hladek, Eric Chung, von Skeltermar, Tommy Lindroth, then it's Smolka and Gaustner, Corinna Gaustner, and Agata Smolka, great to have her here. Ingvar Madsen, then it's Nussbaumer, Ramelli, Nielsen, David Lim goes from P17 on the grid, and Henrik Kamstrup from P18, ahead of Laurent Demeuse, Pittori and Kuhadaroglu. Murat Kuhadaroglu goes from P21 on the grid. That's the way it lines up then. So FDA driver, Ferrari Driver Academy, alongside me, Callum Eilert. Nice to see you.
You too, thank you. It's good to come back here in the afternoon.
Yeah, looking forward to your comments on the air, that's for sure.
Hello everybody. I'm very happy today for this pole position. It's a very good start for the season 2018. So come on, let's go.
Thanks, Eric Prenot. So Callum Eilert, the FDA Ferrari Driver Academy driver, who will be joining us on the air this afternoon as the Hublot safety car is veritably put through its paces around the track here. So Callum, former Formula 3 star, into GP3 this year and a member of the Ferrari Driver Academy like many others. And must be very proud, Callum, to be able to wear the red as an official Ferrari person, as indeed you are.
Yeah, especially at the home track, basically, of Ferrari as well. It's really a privilege. and to be here with you as well.
Oh, you say the nicest things. If only I knew you didn't mean it. We have got the cars away then on their rolling lap. Always a rolling lap in the Ferrari Challenge. The cars will grid up behind the safety car, and then the safety car will peel off, and all the social media is at the top of the screen for you to take notice of and be part of the Ferrari Challenge here from Mugello. The first race of the season for the Coppa Shell drivers, all weaving from side to side to try and generate some temperature into those big tyres. Callum, you're a racing driver, albeit single-seaters, not beautiful cars like these. Although a single-seater in its own way, of course, is beautiful. Does it really make any blooming difference, all this weaving? Do you generate temperature?
Yeah, it does make a difference. I mean, obviously you can go a bit too much and not help the tyre. You can overheat it, which doesn't happen too often, but you want to get as much temperature as possible before the race, because it's the first laps that really count, and you can make all the difference by having a little bit more temperature in the tyres.
And of course, presumably the drivers, as they're pushing on the brakes and off the brakes and pushing on the brakes, because the heat from the brakes dissipates into the rubber as well. So that's part of that warming up process.
Yeah, you're just looking for any way to get more heat, more temperature in the tyres. So yeah, any little bit helps really for the start.
Thank you, Callum Eilert. Technical direction then from the man that does it in cars and knows what he's talking about. And the cars then making their way towards the start. There you can see the Hublot safety car has indeed picked up the front row, which is Eric Prinot and Jean-Claude Sarda with Christian Kinch. A very good qualifying from Christian to be P3 on the grid. Then it's Thomas Gosner, P4, Christoph Herney, Manuela Gosner, then it's Vladimir Haladik, Eric Chung, von Skeltermar, Tommy Lindroth, Agata Smolka, Corinna Gosner, Ingvar Madsen, Nussbaumer, Ramelli, Nielsen. Then it's Liam Kamstrup, Demus, Pittori and Kuhada Ruglu. All lined up, ready to do battle. The lights out on the safety car. It will peel off into the pit lane and send these drivers away on their 30-minute race. So we have one chicane to go through. And then down the final turn, which is the Buccini turn, the turn number 14, and we will be set to go racing. Let's let the music build the excitement and the anticipation. Stand by. Race 1, Coppa Shell on its way. Lights go green, let's go racing. Corinna Gosner already trying to make moves. Eric Prinot, a blistering start from him. Jean-Claude Sarda alongside Christian Kinch has got Thomas Gosner alongside him, but will go through and maintain his P3 position, or will he? Because Thomas Gosner now will have the inside line for the next turn and may move himself up to P3 and get past Christian Kinch. Indeed, he's done so. There's a little bit of contact between Manuela Gosner and that car picks up a couple. One of those is von Skeltermar. The other one, I think, is Tommy Lindroth. Now, everyone will recover from there, but of course they'll be much further down the order than they would have liked to have been. Prinot leads from Jean-Claude Sarda. Out goes the 162 car, and that's the car of Christoph Herney, was involved in that skirmish. There's Vladimir Haladik. So the Coppa Shell cars already stretching their legs, and there is Corinna Gosner then in a real ding-dong battle there with the car of Giuseppe Ramelli. Corinna Gosner, of course, wanted to get up the order and get closer to her sister. So there, good avoidance from Ingvar Madsen and a number of other drivers as well. And this in replay now. Whether that was a little tap from the Manuela Gosner car there, I'm not sure. Never like to call that really until we've seen all the angles. And they're into the Rosso Corsa garage. Race being led by Eric Prinot. So Christian Kinch then losing out on one place, been relegated to P4 from P3. And the top three really stretching their legs now. Eric Prinot has built a margin of some 8/10 over Jean-Claude Sada, who is in P2, and he's got about similar over Thomas Gostner, similar margin. Thomas Gostner, though, has really got the bit between his teeth now, and he's really closing in on Jean-Claude Sada. Rest of the pack come through. There are race leader Eric Prinot through the chicane. It's going to be a fight on for P2 in a moment, because I think Thomas Gostner is getting closer to Jean-Claude Sada, and Manuela Gostner is now beginning to pressure the car of Christian Kinch, which is ahead of her. So there is Manuela Gostner, the fastest of the lady racers so far. The incident involving cars number 162 and 183 is under investigation, so I was right. It was Manuela Gostner that gave just a little tap onto the 162 car of Christoph Herney, which sent that car around. Eric Prinot, race leader. 1.5 seconds to the good over Jean-Claude Sada. And Callum, presumably, when you've got your nose in front like this, what you're trying to do is build yourself a cushion.
Yeah, you've got to watch out that you're not too fast at the beginning, because you don't want to over-push the tyres. Obviously, the tyres will drop off towards the end of the race, but you also want to keep a safe enough distance so that the person behind won't attack too much.
I would say Eric Prinot is one of those drivers that will push, and push really, really hard. So what you're saying is, in the second half of the race, we may see his pace significantly drop because he'll have taken too much out of the tyres.
We'll see. I mean, at the moment, it's not too much. He's pulled a 1.5 second gap, which is what I would say is a safe enough gap to maintain it. Now it's 2 seconds. So, yeah, it looks like he is pushing it. Maybe a bit more than I thought at first, but we'll see. Towards the end of the race, he could manage to control the tyres or not, but we'll see.
Well, Eric Prinot is the leader of the Shell category. Leader of the AM category is Ingvar Madsen. Great start to the race from Ingvar Madsen. So there is Eric Prinot then in car number 181. Then built that lead up to 1.9 seconds now, and you can see it's palpable, isn't it? The difference between himself and also Jean-Claude Sada. Prinot sets the fastest lap, 1:54.456. There's Vladimir Hladik, who is pushing Manuela Gostner. And there is Manuela Gostner getting ever closer to Christian Kinch. So Christian Kinch then, who's running in P4 at the moment in that back-to-guard car, which is middle of your picture right now, being chased by Manuela Gostner and also the car of Vladimir Hladik right behind. So a real three-way battle going on here for P4 in the race. And that's perhaps the closest battle at the moment, although Thomas Gostner once again just seems to be reeling in Jean-Claude Sada a little bit, and although he wasn't as quick as him in the last lap around, so we will see. But now Manuela Gostner gets even closer to Christian Kinch, so Christian's going to have to do some real defending and try and make that 488, the first ever Ferrari Challenge car powered by a turbo engine. He's going to have to try and make that as wide as possible. Thomas Gostner then chasing down Jean-Claude Sada. Then these three that are fighting over the P4 in the race. It is Christian Kinch, which is leading that battle at the moment. They go down through the Buccini turn, which is a real downhill turn, and pulls you almost invitingly into that gravel on the exit of that turn as you start the home straight. And the gap is minuscule between all three of them. Manuela just takes a look at the inside and shows her face into the rearview mirrors of Christian Kinch. So this turn, turn number 1, where you can very, very easily, Callum, carry too much speed. And, you know, lots of drivers have dived to the outside there to then try and get the switch back to the inside.
Yeah, it's a very long corner, so it allows you to do that if you do get overtaken, or hold it around the outside, which we saw in race 1 of the Pirelli race. But yeah, I'd say the corners on this track are very either long or mid-speed, so you do have a couple of opportunities to sort of redeem yourself if you do make that mistake.
You've made the point off air as well that, you know, these corners are very sweeping. There is elevation changes. It's a difficult track to find a spot to overtake, isn't it?
Yeah, you've only got a couple of small opportunities. Obviously into turn 1 if you get a good enough slipstream, which is where we saw a couple of potential moves in the other. As we see a big moment there.
That is a big moment. That's from Agata Smolka, who's new into the challenge this year. Incidentally, the incident involving cars 162 and 183, no further action is going to be taken. So that has been considered to be a racing incident. As you can see, Eric Prinot is virtually in Florence. Such as his margin, it's 3.5 seconds over Jean-Claude Sarda. And they're all beginning to bulk up behind Jean-Claude Sarda now. He's a couple of laps' time. He's going to be a bit of a cork in a bottle, I think.
Yeah, he's managing to hold them back quite well at the moment, whilst Prinot gets a bigger and bigger gap every lap.
Yes, it's almost like it's being paid for by Prinot, isn't it? Kinch, Gosner and Haladik all cross the timing line. And that is the closest battle, that battle for P4. Once again, under braking. Christian Kinch taking a look at Thomas Gosner, father of Manuela, who, as you can see, has just gone through the speed trap at 275 kilometers per hour. They're in the 183 car. So her father is 2 cars ahead of her. But family relations count for nothing when you're out on the track. You want to be the best and you want to be ahead. And Manuela Gosner really chasing down Christian Kinch to try and get onto the back end of her father's car, number 161. Oh, and that's a big moment. That's a big moment for the 136 car of Alexander Nussbaumer. Now, we didn't see how that happened, but there is debris all over the track. We will get a replay of that very quickly. A safety car has been called for. All of Eric Prinot's hard work in terms of the gap that he's built up will be reduced to naught now. So that was a big moment indeed, and lots of debris all over the track. So Alexander Nussbaumer then from Formula Racing was the car that went around, but we only really saw the back end of that. So the race about third distance. That's great to see that Alexander is out of the car. The integral safety in these 488 cars is remarkable. The cars are super strong, and that's the best sight of all, to see the driver walking away from that completely and totally unharmed. Right, here it is.
That's going into turn 4, isn't it?
It just looked like and I think it was Murat Kuhadaroglu that he had to see that again, whether he tried to, whether he was just, I don't know. It's always difficult to call, isn't it? It looked to me on that little clip that I saw whether he just cut across the front of Murat. I don't know, and it might not have been Murat. So
we'll see. I think it was quite close. So.
Need to see it again. It's always difficult to call things like that. Here's a replay of the start then. Eric Prinot did everything that he needed to do exactly right. Of course, pole position here at Mugello always gives you the inside line into turn number 1, and he used that to full advantage. Thomas Gosner, though, it was a good overtake from Thomas Gosner, because he was on the outside and does exactly what you said can be done, Callum, in that you keep your foot in, just try for everything to hold onto the car, and it gives you the inside line for turn number 2. On board there, as our new driver Agata losing out on a few places right at the very start. So now, all of that hard work Eric Prinot had done, all the potential grip that he's taken out of those tyres.
That's the risk you play.
It is a risk, isn't it? You can never predict a safety car. Although there are some tracks, aren't there, where it's more prone than others. Don't often see a safety car here at Mugello, to be honest, but obviously it was called for following that incident. But Prinot's big margin has gone now, that's for sure, because all of those are bunched up, and certainly Christian Kinch is going to come under pressure. There is the 127 Tommy Lindroth car. No indication yet when the safety car will come in. Of course, there was the car that had to be recovered, and not only that, the debris all across the track that has got to be swept away as well. So on board with the safety car, looking back at the race leader, Eric Prinot. There, the 119 car, which is driven by Per Nielsen. Palmer, of course, the car that we have seen significantly damaged in that incident. Leader in the AM drivers race at the moment is Ingvar Mattsson. He had got the benefit of a cushion of Corinna Gosner between himself and Giuseppe Romelli, who was P2 in AM. In Shell proper, though, Eric Prinot is P1. Super slow-mos of those cars that are leading in their respective classes. Hypermotion. See the focus through the glasses of the Eric Prinot. So the incident involving cars number 133 and 136 is under investigation, and it was Murat Kuhadaroglu that was involved in that. There's Eric's partner, Monica, looking on. Would like to see that again, because I don't know quite. I don't actually know for sure where that was on the track. Did you pick that up, Callum?
I think it was into turn 4. Yeah, going into that section.
Right.
And I think, well, from the camera angle, it's obviously hard to tell, but if he tried to open the corner up a little bit, and that meant that he just went into the front of 133, I think, then that could have been why, or it could have been vice versa, that they were turning in. And
well, whilst the safety car is out, we'll bring you just a few moments of the challenge show. So, a few moments then of the challenge show. And we continue to pick the cars up behind the safety car now. As a racing driver, Callum Eilert, as we'll give you the show cam first, and then we'll get your comments of what it's like being behind a safety car. So the safety car is coming in this lap. The lights are out on the safety car, as you can see. Just before we go to the effective restart of this race, Callum Eilert, you've been behind the safety car on a number of occasions. And when you've been in the lead of a race, how frustrating is that? And what can you do to put yourself in the best possible position to get yourself back leading the race?
it is frustrating, especially if you built up a big gap, and that's then reduced to nothing. The one thing you've got to do is make sure you get, obviously, the best restart possible, normally by slowing the others up and then tricking them into making or getting the jump.
I always felt one of the masters of that was Felix Rosenqvist.
Yeah, he was the one I always used to watch, especially when I was driving in the team that he used to be in. But yeah, so you would sort of wait and weave and make sure that they didn't know when you were going to go. Yep. And then at some points it would look like you were going to go, and then you would make the jump like Eric has just done now.
Indeed, he has.
Built a big gap.
And more importantly, because you've been lap after lap after lap doing the best job that you can, how does it disrupt your rhythm, if you like?
Well, it gives you a chance to sort of think about it and restart, and hopefully, you know, continue that. Obviously, you do put an abrupt end to the rhythm that you had in place, but
sure.
And once you're in it again, it's easy to continue it.
Well, we are back in it again, and Eric Prinot did do a fantastic restart. That means that he's maintained his lead. Now, for my money, I think the one that might come under pressure from this restart now will be Christian Kinch, because Manuel Gosner and Vladimir Hladek right on Christian Kinch. Now there is Thomas Gosner, who's running in P3 in the race. So all of a sudden, all the cars are bunched up again.
No further action. So I think it was probably Nussbaumer's fault, because he got the penalty from driving, I guess, you know, in the wall.
That's what Callum is talking about. We see the benefit of the message on our timing screens just a few moments before you see it on your screen, and that is the incident that involved cars 133 and 136. No further action is going to be taken by race control. It was considered to be a racing incident. So, no one to blame in that. Oh, Vladimir Hladek gets a bit sideways in his quest to try and find his way past Manuel Gosner. Vladimir Hladek, who's running in P6. Manuel Gosner is P5. And Christian Kinch is the car ahead of Manuel Gosner. Then it's Thomas Gosner and Jean-Claude Sada. And, of course, our race leader is Eric Prinot. So Manuel Gosner then trying to make that 488 as wide as possible to prevent Vladimir Hladek as they go downhill now through the Speed Genie turn. Can Vladimir Hladek now get a little bit of extra boost off the back of Manuel Gosner's car as they head up towards turn number 1? He'll be looking for the inside line, Callum, won't he?
Yep, he's got the toe, but of course the other cars in front have got the toe, so we'll see. I think he's getting close enough. No, I don't think so, personally.
Well, a good sterling effort off the back of the Buccini turn. Corinna Gosner and the 172 car of Per Falhult getting close together there, but Corinna Gosner maintains position. There's von Skeltermar going through in the 177 car, and then the 186 car of Agatha Schmolka, who we saw losing out on a number of places right at the start of the race, chasing down that Murat Kuhadaroglu car that was involved in that incident that has taken out Nussbaumer. So on board with Smolka, we've got just 10 minutes of the race remaining. Where are the first 2/3 of the race gone? Well, sadly, a part of that was gone under the safety car.
Just coming through one of the fastest sections of the track. We've got 4 sequences of corners, which are probably one of the faster ones of the track. For me, when I was driving here, most of these were flat out for Formula 3, so it's a bit of a difference to see, but in these cars, they're right on the limit with a bit of brakes and entry.
Now, something else you were saying is here in particular with the elevation changes and the sweeping nature of the corners. The exit of one corner is absolutely critical for the entry of the next one, and then the exit becomes critical as again. So you really have to nail every corner, don't you, Callum?
Yeah, especially in the first and second sector. There's a lot of chicanes, which if you don't make the first part of the corner properly, you're going to be stuffed for the next corner. So. Yeah.
Stuffed is a technical expression, is it?
yeah. Well, you're not going to make it round, and then you end up getting track limits penalties.
Yes.
And, a bit of gravel on your tyres, and then it just becomes more of a cycle for the rest of the lap once you've got dirt on your tyres, which we saw in race 1 quite a lot.
Yes, in that Trofeo Pirelli race, you're absolutely right. It did. It was really noticeable, wasn't it, for the last sort of 5-6 laps or so. There were some people really struggling. So Christian Kinch then is still ahead of Manuela Gosner. Manuela Gosner, she's in this invidious position where she's hunting and being hunted as well. The real meat in the sandwich here, because she's trying to attack Christian Kinch ahead of her, but she's also having to keep one eye surely on the rearview mirror to try and protect herself from Vladimir Hladek as well. It's blooming difficult being a racing driver to try and attack and defend at the same time.
Yeah, especially if the other driver's very quick in the last sector. That ruins your opportunity into turn 1. Which I think she seems to be having the problem of, basically.
Okay. The other point with a safety car period coming when it did, sort of midway in the race, your tyres have been up to temperature, then they cool off again, then you've got to bring them back up to temperature again, presumably, Callum.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. One of the most annoying things about being behind a safety car was that it's one of the most tiring parts of a race, because you're continuously weaving and warming up your tyres, which means you're always on the steering, and if your car doesn't have power steering, it is quite a workout sometimes.
Okay, right. So we have 7.5 minutes of the race remaining. Eric Prenot is leading, and leading the AMS is Ingvar Madsen. There is another lady racer, the Rosso Corsa-driven Agatha Smolka car. Battle for third position is between Per Nielsen, Muad Kuhadaroglu, and Agatha Smolka. That's the third position in the AMS, as von Skeltermar up the inside of Ramelli. Has he made that stick? Not sure, because we're looking at the Kuhadaroglu car. So there is Murat then, who was involved in that incident that took Nussbaumer out of the race, but no one was to blame for that, as now Murat Kuhadaroglu on the outside as they head towards turn number 1. He's not going to be able to get his nose in front before they get to the turn, but will he get the switch back now and dive to the inside? But there's another car right in there, and that, of course, is the car of Agatha Smolka. But now Murat, by keeping his nose in and keeping his foot in, managed to, the outside of turn 1 becomes the inside of turn 2. Callum.
Yeah, he did have a look at switching back, and then he realised the other car was there.
That was sort of in the way, really, yeah, wasn't it?
So he reverted to the second option, which worked as well. So
in many respects, I think Agatha actually helped him get that overtake done.
Definitely, I think.
Let's see it. Talk us through this, Callum.
So yeah, at this point, you sort of got to look at what you're going to do, and he decides to divert back, and I think he was also not far enough behind to be able to go behind, so he went for the second option and continued it round the outside, and it's quick thinking and it worked, so did a good job there.
It's really interesting. You could see Per Nielsen was going to turn in for turn number 2, and then he thought, oh heck, I can't do that because it's full of the Murat car. So good overtake there from Murat Kuhadaroglu. 5.5 minutes of the race remaining. Eric Prenot leading, and he's built up a 2-second margin over Jean-Claude Sada. We're on board with Smolka then, lady racer.
Also, when you go down the inside of someone, you do try and slow it down a little bit. Oh, we got
it's the Pittori car out and in the pit lane, the number 184 car. So, don't know what that was all about. Here's von Skeltermar now. Corinna Gosner. Oh! Now, that was almost going to be a carbon copy of what he did last time around. That was somewhere that Fons has kind of nurtured as his overtaking place. On the inside through that turn is now tracking Corinna Gosner for all his worth. Von Skeltermar in car number 177. We'll look to the inside now. Corinna Gosner surely will close the door. No racing room is left, but actually von Skeltermar wasn't close enough to be able to take advantage there, Callum.
Yeah, and she also broke very late, so I think it was a bit of both. You know, he wasn't close enough, and she did a very good job of holding him behind.
Now, of course, those are two Shell drivers behind the AM leader. So Ingvar Madsen really kind of doesn't want to get involved in this big battle because, you know, actually, they're in two separate races almost, aren't they?
We did speak about this in the Pirelli race, the same sort of thing going on. But actually, in this sort of sense, if he can keep them behind him, then that creates a little bit of leniency between the rest of his category.
Which, yeah, I mean, there are exactly two cars between him and the next best AM driver, so you're absolutely right. If he can use that as a cushion, can't he?
Yeah.
He's well protected. They act as wingmen for him, or wing ladies, I should say.
Yeah. And also, if you let them pass, there's a possibility that they may continue fighting, and then that will slow him down and into the rest of his pack. So you never really know what to do, to be honest.
And equally, the point that I was trying to make is that whilst they're fighting so aggressively, he kind of almost doesn't want to get involved in that because he's not going to benefit from it, is he, necessarily? But
just to basically continue for your own race, that's what I would do.
Don't worry about what those are doing around you, worry about what you're doing. There is the 161 car of Thomas Gosner, who's driven a great race in P3, has not looked troubled at all, certainly since the safety car period. And Christian Kinch has seen off the challenge from Manuela Gosner thus far. Manuela Gosner, who's Had to keep Vladimir Hladik keen as well, and she has managed to do that because Vladimir has not been able to find a way past either. So it has been a exciting race, that's for sure. Vladimir Hladik tries to go around the outside of Manuela Gosner, but surely now with just under 3 minutes of the race left, you're not going to have the grip to try that outside move around turn number 1, particularly when you were coming from as far back as Vladimir Hladik was on that occasion.
Yeah, well, if we take the top 2 at the moment, there's a 2.5 second gap, and since the safety car, we've had more than 5 laps, shall we say. What's going on there?
So we've got a message on our screen which is advising us that Alexander Nussbaumer is got a report to race control after this race. So there we are. Now that was von Skeltermar on Corinna Gosner.
He looked the lap before to try and do that, and I think he's successfully pulled it off this time.
Yeah, done it well. So thanks for that replay. Straight in there. There is Corinna Gosner's sister, Manuela, still chasing down Christian Kinch. Thomas Gosner ahead. There's Eric Prinot, race leader. And race leader by a margin of some 2.7 seconds over Jean-Claude Sarda last time around. Okay, with but a couple of laps of the race remaining. In fact, there'll be the remainder of this lap, plus one more, I would think.
And it isn't on TV, but I've just seen that Matson has lost places to both Skeltermar and Gosner.
So they have gone past. Thanks for that. That means that Ingvar Matson now, there's a bunch of AM drivers all together. So hopefully Ingvar is going to be able to hold on to that AM lead that he's had. So, as predicted, this becomes the final lap. One more lap for Eric Prinot then to hold his own. Can Ingvar Matson? Because there's only 5/10 between Ingvar Matson and Ramelli in the AM battle at the moment. Picking that up from our timing screen as well. So Ingvar Matson might come under some pressure. Also coming under pressure is Manuela Gosner. I think it would be Ingvar Matson's first win, if my memory serves me, which frequently it doesn't, but I think it would be. Battle for P5 between Manuela Gosner, Vladimir Hladik and Eric Chung is coming into the mix as well in car number 198. Eric Chung, another really long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge and super driver. Oh, and around has gone David Lim in the 168 car. Now, whether he was provoked into that or whether that was of his own doing, doesn't look to be any damage on the car, does the Callum, which would suggest that on worn tyres, maybe... Oh,
yeah, on his own.
Must have put the tyre out somewhere. It must have been on the, you know, for that to... Did jolly well to get it out of the gravel, to be fair.
Well, the thing is, out of turn 1, it's you're on the power out of the corner, and it's a continuous corner, so it's possible that they're just a little bit
snapped
too much power.
Away. Yeah,
it went on him.
Well, it hasn't gone on Eric Prinot, who has driven faultlessly, to be fair. Did all the hard work, arguably, in qualifying to put himself in the best possible position, but he had to do it all over again from a safety car period. And he has done that, so he celebrates his, how many seasons he's been in Ferrari Challenge, but a great number, and whatever number it is, he's going to start it off in exactly the right way by taking race win. Eric Prinot will be P1 in Mugello. Eric Prinot takes the win. P2 goes the way of Jean-Claude Sarda. P3 is Thomas Gosner. Then it's Kinch, Manuela Gosner and Vladimir Hladik. Corinna Gosner will finish P9. Can Ingvar Matson hold on for the AM win? Yes, he can. He takes that from Giuseppe Ramelli, then Murat Kuhadaroglu. Wow, what a race. Laurent Demuse and Tommy Lindroth heading towards the checkered flag, and the one that will cross the timing line last of all will be David Lim, following that little pirouette earlier on. Here comes David Lim now. But there, Laurent Demuse and Tommy Lindroth then. That's it, race done and dusted. That was an exciting race from our Coppa Shell drivers, the mix of Shell and AM drivers. There is David Lim, who we saw going around earlier on the last lap. And Monica is very happy that Eric has done a great job and has taken the win. Great win from Eric Prinot. Well, a race full of drama that was. And they never failed to deliver great entertainment. And their confirmation of Prinot Sada and Thomas Gosner taking the 1, 2, 3 in the shell category. Christian Kinch was 4th, Manuela Gosner 5th. Then it was Vladimir Haladik taking P6. In the AMS, it's Ingvar Mattsson, Giuseppe Romelli, and then Murat Kuhadaroglu. So there, the Eric Prinot car then. And let's take a look at the highlights of that race. So as the lights went green, Eric Prinot with a great start and put himself into that unassailable P1 position going into turn number 1. Making their way through the chicane. And straight away an incident. Thankfully, many drivers avoiding that, but it put many of them much further down the order than they expected to be. Safety car was called for following an incident between Murat Kuhadaroglu and also Alex Nussbaumer. And the 136 car really hitting the barriers and significant damage. Thankfully, Nussbaumer out of the car, perfectly unharmed. Credit to the safety integrity of the 488 Challenge car. At the checkered flag, Eric Prinot then, faultless, takes the checkered flag to take the win. And he celebrates down there in the Parc Fermé area. Steady on, Eric. Oh! Now you speak some Italian. What did he say, Callum?
I wasn't listening, sorry. I got myself out of that one quite well.
Yeah, you did. He needs helping down from the car now. There's Monica. Okay, we will be heading up to the podium next. So the celebrations continuing down there. Eric Prinot then. Nice to soak up the atmosphere. And we lose our signal, but we take a look. Super slow-mo's the top 3. First of all, it's Thomas Gosner, P3. Winner, of course, Eric Prinot. And the joy you can see on his face. Well done, Eric. In the Drivers' Championship, then, Eric Prinot, maximum points, 23 points. Jean-Claude Sada is P2. Thomas Gosner is P3. Next up, we'll take a look at the... there's Thomas Gostner to the right-hand side of your picture. Pretty happy with his performance. Be on the podium for the first race. Of course, his daughters Corinna and Manuela also racing out there too. So that's just behind the podium. You can see the podium being readied and the drivers making their way up to the podium. Right, and Michele Mambrelli then, we can hear, is getting the drivers out towards the podium. There's Manuela Gostner, ready to salute her dad up there on the podium. He takes step number 3. Jean-Claude Sarda then will go to step 2. Eric Prinot generally jumps on the podium. We'll see. There he is.
Bit more of a step this time.
Yeah, but I think we missed the jump. I think we cut back too early. National anthem. Now, Michele Mambrelli, who is the presenter here, invites Paolo Poli, the Mugello Circuit General Manager, to make the trophy presentations. First of all, to Thomas Gostner, then to Jean-Claude Sarda, and of course the winner's trophy to Eric Prinot. Used to have quite a laugh with Michele, the track presenter, because he would always say to the drivers at the end of the podium ceremony, "Please rise your trophies." So my English invited him to use the word lift. I think would be better. Listen. There is Corinna Gostner. Photographs all taken without the invitation to lift them, sadly. But champagne time. Thomas is going to win that race, I think. Oh, actually, it might have been a dead heat between himself and Jean-Claude Sarda, and Eric is a bit wayward with the champagne spraying. And there we are. Super slow-mo once again of the race-winning car and a race-winning driver, the Uneco MP driver, long-serving member of the Ferrari Challenge drivers. That is Eric Prinot. Still to come, we will have the AM podium, and the fastest of the ladies, I suspect, will be joining us on the AM podium as well. And that will be Manuela Gostner, who actually finished the race P5 overall. No bad achievement. Daniele Diamato, who was hugely successful last year, taking the Trofeo Pirelli win. There you can see him. He's back this year, but much more in a coaching capacity. Drivers' Championship then in AMS, Ingvar Mattsson, Giuseppe Romelli and Murat Kuhadaroglu. The 1, 2, 3. And I'm pretty sure it's Ingvar Mattsson's first win in Ferrari Challenge. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Ingvar, races.ferrari.com is the website. There, the super slow-mo then of the top 3. Murat Kuhadaroglu then, P3. P2, the 172 car of Giuseppe Romelli. And P1, Ingvar Mattsson. National anthem time. So the anthem plays out for Ingvar Mattson then. Here comes trophy presentation. First of all to Murat Kuadaroglu for the Kessel Racing team. Congratulated by Fons Skeltermar and Nicky Kadai to his right-hand side in that picture. Paolo Proli again making the trophy presentations. And Jean-Claude Sada has received his, and now Ingvar Mattson takes his trophy. Don't drop it. Up your trophy now. Up your trophy. Brilliant stuff. So the Gosler family down there. Podium's done and dusted, and day one of racing completed then both in Trofeo Pirelli and Coppa Shell as three Coppa Shell drivers. Quite a serene podium celebrations that was, Callum. Ah, no, it wasn't. Look, we missed this, as they did get lively, and poor old Ingvar got plenty. And I'm convinced it's Ingvar's first win, so many congratulations to Ingvar Mattson. So the cars making their way, the spectators making their way down the steps here behind the Mugello podium as Ingvar Mattson stays up there and enjoys his moment of glory, quite rightly. And there, the pit lane suddenly empties. So 2 more races to come tomorrow. 2 more qualifying, then 2 more races, of course. 1 race for Coppa Shell and another race for Trofeo Pirelli. So as we take a look at some of the clips from the Mugello circuit, Callum Eilert, thank you so much for being with us. Really enjoyed your company and your insight.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. And we'll see you tomorrow for more of the same. Please make sure you join us for the next race, Trofeo Pirelli Race 2, tomorrow at 10:50 GMT. Bye-bye for now.